We have to call you in every time we do one of these historical debates because we appreciate
because I'm old?
Because we respect your opinion, Jack.
That's all right.
So we're doing Jordan versus LeBron this week, and we're taking different aspects of their careers and kind of doing a deep dive each day. Yesterday, we talked about their athleticism and debated that. Today, we're talking about winning resumes. So, of course, Jordan has more titles. LeBron has more trips to the finals, more playoff games overall, so more success in terms of just pure volume. When you talk about winning with LeBron and Jordan, what comes to your mind?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is that anyone to whom you ask this question, if they're honest, is going to come into it with some sort of I'm not going to use the word bias, but preconceived notion. You have to understand, as you certainly do, Maggie, that my, covering at Sports Illustrated coincided pretty much with Michael's golden years. I mean, I started covering the league exactly the same year that Michael came in. I went a little bit longer than Michael. And LeBron, I really, was coming in as I was bowing out. And I'll never forget, I did the first cover story on LeBron. And I remember sitting in a room with him. I'll get to answer your question in a minute. And we're sitting there, and Walter Yost, the great Sports Illustrated photographer, is setting up his, banner lighting and all this stuff to take LeBron's photo. And we were informed that we had 10 minutes for the interview and 5 minutes for the photo. And Walter used to spend, 2 hours photographing Michael. So it, really, really two different eras. And so I came in with, I'm more of a Michael guy. And in answer to your question, in a one-word answer, which is complicated, that is the side I would come down on, the Michael side, as being superior for a variety of reasons, which I can go into.
Well, Jack, start with, for example, LeBron made to 10 finals. I was arguing with Maggie that, yes, while that's obviously impressive, in the NBA, the conferences might be out of whack, and I'm not blown away by LeBron's 10 final appearances.
Well, you said the key word with LeBron, I mean, is volume. And I think the one really hard aspect to judge on these guys is the level of competition. I was looking at a couple analyses, and somebody would say, well, Michael played during the year of expansion teams. Charlotte came in, Miami came in. I'm thinking quickly, Orlando came in. Well, LeBron, didn't have that. On the other hand, when I watched the Jordan documentary that everybody in the world was watching during the lockdown, one thing that really struck me was what kind of limited court space Jordan was playing on. I mean, the game was so physical, and the three-point shooting was so much more absent from the game that, it was just so much more of a limited court where Michael had to do his thing. That doesn't mean LeBron wouldn't have been successful back then. It doesn't mean that Michael wouldn't be successful in an open court. I'm just saying I come down on the side of Jordan having to play under more of a constrained and physical environment than LeBron.
Jack McCallum is our guest, is award-winning writer, author, former Sports Illustrated writer. We're talking about our LeBron versus Jordan debate. Yesterday, athleticism. Today, winning. Tomorrow, Jack will give you a little sneak preview. We're going to talk about being a teammate and your character. Now, I know that you are closer to Jordan than you are to LeBron, but as far as Jordan, the teammate for which we've heard, and the character of which we've heard, he could be, the fiercest competitor of all, and where would you come down on that side of things?
Well, Michael was a total pain in the ass. I mean, that's an interesting question, and I'm going to throw Kobe in there just for a second, because the three of them to me represent, kind of not three sides of the coin because there's only two, but three different aspects of this. And Michael, to me, kind of comes out in the middle. And obviously LeBron is a much more caring person. He doesn't, to a large extent, hang his teammates out to dry. Michael used to, use the phrase, he almost didn't know he was doing it, my supporting cast. That came out. I don't even think Michael saw it as an insult. He just saw it as, yeah, hey, man, that's the way it is. Kobe, more extreme than either of them, didn't care, the late, great Cobster, didn't care too much about anybody's feelings. So to the extent that is important, I certainly give the edge to LeBron. However, Michael was able eventually to make his guys, to make everybody be one of the guys. I mean, you had to fall in line. He was going to, slap you around, sometimes literally, sometimes figuratively. But eventually he was going to be able to assemble a team that would play for him. So LeBron was probably a much more nicer guy to play for. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But Michael eventually would have, I think was an okay combination of being both a taskmaster and someone that you wanted to be with him, because if there was a hard road to hoe, Michael was going to hoe that better than anybody who ever lived, in my opinion.
Talking to best-selling NBA author Jack McCallum. Jack, what about supporting cast? That's been brought up this week for us a lot, too. Obviously, Jordan had Pippen. LeBron's had various supporting casts. If you had to say who had a sort of a better team around him throughout the years.
And coaches.
Yeah, and coaches as well.
I mean, that's a tough one. Can you keep track of LeBron's coaches?
No, we couldn't.
No, I can't, without a book. And Michael will always go hand in hand with Phil, just as Magic and Kareem will go hand in hand with Pat Riley. Larry Bird had a couple coaches, but basically it was Casey Jones. So for a more stable environment, and you'd have to say an advantage, you'd probably have to say that LeBron had a tougher road to hoe. But did Scottie Pippen become Scottie because of Jordan? I mean, I always thought that Scottie Pippen sort of stood alone in NBA history as being like a complimentary superstar. That's very hard to do. The second best player on your team in every category, perhaps on the ball defense, he was as good or better than Michael. But that's very hard to do. But did he do that because of Michael? Did Dennis Rodman get into the Hall of Fame as primarily a rebounder because he played with Jordan? The other factor there being that LeBron's shifting cast of characters and shifting coaches that he had were the result of himself.
We said as a GM, LeBron falls very short, although Jordan might too. If he didn't battle with Jerry Krause, he might have 7 titles.
Yeah, exactly. They both kind of fall short in that aspect, but it was kind of LeBron's choice to do that. That's sort of why he had, this kind of both sides of the menu thing to his coaching and teammates. That was LeBron's own doing. So that, I guess, is a little bit of a wash. But Pippen, Rodman, that's a pretty strong 1-2. You have to think a little more quickly for LeBron, with the exception of D. Wade and Bosh. I mean, in D. Wade, he probably had the best of the quote supporting cast. I guess you could argue him and Pippen, but it would be a good argument.